So during the testimony with Michael Cohen on Capitol Hill, there was a representative in the GOP, Representative Meadows, and he took issue with Michael Cohen, stating that Donald Trump is a racist. So what this guy decided to do was bring a black woman up there as a prop to prove to the world that Donald Trump isn't a racist. Well, let's go ahead and roll that clip.
Mr. Cohen, do you know Lynn Patton? I'm right here.
Oh, yes, sir.
Do you know Lynn Patton?
Yes, I do.
I asked Lynn to come today in her personal capacity to actually shed some light. How long have you known Ms. Patton?
I'm responsible for Lynn Patton joining the Trump Organization and the job that she currently holds.
Well, I'm glad you acknowledged that, because you made some very demeaning comments about the president that Ms. Patton doesn't agree with. In fact, it has to do with your claim of racism. She says that as a daughter of a man born in Birmingham, Alabama, that there is no way that she would work for an individual who was racist. How do you reconcile the two of those, Mr.
As neither should I, as the son of a Holocaust survivor.
But, Mr. Cohen, I guess what I'm saying is I've talked to the president over 300 times. I've not heard one time a racist comment out of his mouth in private. So how do you reconcile it? Do you have proof of those conversations?
I would ask you to
Do you have tape recordings of those conversations?
No, sir.
Well, you've taped everybody else. Why wouldn't you have a tape?
That's also not true, sir. That's not true.
You haven't taped anybody?
I have taped individuals.
How many times have you taped individuals?
Maybe 100 times over 10 years.
Is that a low estimate? Because I've heard it's over 200 times.
No, I don't think. I think it's approximately about 100 from what I recall. But I would ask
so
you,
why
if
would
you ask me a question, sir.
Do you have proof? Do you have proof? Yes or no?
I do.
Oh, where's the proof?
Ask Ms. Patton how many people who are black are executives at the Trump Organization, and the answer is zero.
Mr. Cohen, we can go through this. I would ask unanimous consent that her entire statement be put in the record.
Without objection.
All right, let me go on a little bit further. Did you collect $1.2 million or so from Novartis?
I did.
For access to the Trump administration?
No, sir.
Why did you collect it?
Because they came to me based upon my knowledge of the enigma, Donald Trump, what he thinks.
So they paid.
Sir, please let me finish.
No, did they pay you $1.2 million to
yes.
give them advice?
Yes, they did. A multi-billion-dollar conglomerate came to me looking for information, not something that's unusual here in D.C., looking for information, and they believed that I had a value.
So how many times did you meet with them?
Was the insight that I was capable of offering them.
How many
and they
times?
were willing to pay.
How many times did you meet with them? For $1.2 million, how many times did you meet with them?
I provided them with both in-person as well as telephone access whenever they needed.
How many times? Yes, sir. That's a question, Mr. Cohen.
I don't recall, sir.
So did you ever talk to them?
I spoke to them on several occasions, yes.
How many?
6 times.
6 times. Wow. $200,000 a call.
Sir, I also would like to.
Right,
I also would like to bring to your attention the contract.
This is my 5 minutes, Mr. Cohen, not yours. Did you get money from the Bank of Kazakhstan?
It's not a Bank of Kazakhstan. It's called BTA.
BTA Bank, Kazakhstan BTA Bank. Did you get money from them?
I did.
For what purpose?
The purpose was because the former CEO of that bank had absconded with it was between $4 to $6 billion, and some of that money was here in the United States, and they sought my assistance in terms of locating that money and helping them to recollect it.
So are you saying that all the reports that you were paid, in some estimates over $4 million, to have access and understanding of the Trump administration, you're saying that all of that was just paid to you just because you're a nice guy?
Well, I am a nice guy, but more importantly,
I would beg to differ. The record reflects that you're not a nice guy.
Sir, each and every contract contained the clause in my contracts that said, I will not lobby and I do not do government relations work. In fact, Novartis sent me their contract, which stated specifically that they wanted me to lobby, that they wanted me to provide access to government, including the president. That information, that paragraph was crossed out by me, initialed, and written in my own handwriting. It says, I will not lobby or do government relations work.
So Novartis representatives say that it was like they were hiring a non-registered lobbyist, so you disagree with that?
I don't know what they said, sir, but the contract speaks
Have you
for
ever
itself.
contacted anybody in the administration
Yes.
to advocate on behalf of any aspect of any of your contracts? I ask unanimous consent, Mr. Chairman. I ask unanimous consent.
The gentleman's time has expired. You may answer the question.
I don't know what you're referring to, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Clay.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You saw that? That was really interesting, was it? Now, let's get to a clip where you have freshman Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib. She is a Palestinian woman that is in Congress now, and she's going to call out exactly what everyone is already saying. It's ridiculous what this guy has done. Let's roll that clip.
Words about, like African Americans, Muslim Americans, and immigrants?
Yes.
Just to make a note, Mr. Chairman, just because someone has a person of color, a black person working for them, does not mean they aren't racist. And it is insensitive that some would even say the fact that someone would actually use a prop, a black woman, in this chamber, in this committee, is alone racist in itself. Donald Trump is setting a precedent.
Mr. Chairman, I ask that her words be taken down.
Donald Trump is setting a precedent. I reclaim my time.
Mr. Chairman.
Trump is setting a precedent.
Mr. Chairman.
That the highest office can be attained.
Mr. Chairman, the rules are clear.
Cover up and hold on to business assets to break campaign finance laws and constitutional clauses. What we have here, Mr. Chairman, is criminal conduct in the pursuit of the highest public office by Mr. Cohen and Individual 1. I hope that the gravity of this situation hits everyone in this body,
the court report,
and in Congress and across this country. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield the rest of my time.
Mr. Chairman, I ask that her words, when she's referring to an individual member of this body, be taken down and stricken from the record. I'm sure she didn't intend to do this, but if anyone knows my record as it relates, it should be you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman, I would like to.
Hold on.
I want the words read back.
No.
We want to know exactly what she
excuse
said
me.
about a colleague.
Excuse me. Would you like to rephrase that statement, Ms. Tlaib?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can actually read it from here. Just to make a note, Mr. Chairman, that just because someone has a person of color, a black person working for them, does not mean they are racist. And it is insensitive that someone would even say racist, say it is racist in itself, and to use a black woman as a prop to prove it otherwise. And I can submit this for the record. If a colleague is thinking that that's what I'm saying, I'm just saying that's what I believe to have happened. And if, as a person of color in this committee, that's how I felt at that moment, and I wanted to express that. But I am not calling the gentleman, Mr. Meadows, a racist for doing so. I'm saying that in itself, it is a racist act.
Well, I hope not, Mr. Chairman, because I need to be clear on this particular. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Meadows, wait a minute.
I've defended you with false accusations.
Mr. Meadows, I'm the chair.
Yes, sir, you are.
Thank you.
Right.
I will clear this up. Now, Ms. Tlaib, I want to make sure I understand. You were not intending to call Mr. Meadows a racist, is that right?
No, Mr. Chairman, I do not call Mr. Meadows a racist.
No,
I am trying,
hold
as
on.
a person of color, Mr. Chairman, just to express myself and how I felt at that moment. And so, just for the record, that's what was my intention.
All right. All right. Mr. Meadows.
Mr. Chairman, there's nothing more personal to me than my relationship. My nieces and nephews are people of color. Not many people know that. You know that, Mr. Chairman. And to indicate that I asked someone who is a personal friend of the Trump family, who has worked for him, who knows this particular individual, that she's coming in to be a prop, it's racist to suggest that I ask her to come in here for that reason. Mr. President, the president's own person, she's a family member. She loves this family. She came in because she felt like the President of the United States was getting falsely accused. And Mr. Chairman, you and I have a personal relationship that's not based on color. And to even go down this direction is wrong, Mr. Chairman.
First of all, I want to thank the gentleman for what you have stated. If there's anyone who is sensitive with regard to race, it's me. Son of former sharecroppers that were basically slaves. So I get it. I listened very carefully to Ms. Tlaib, and I think, and I don't want to, I'm not going to put words in her mouth, but I think she said that she was not calling you a racist. And I thought that we could clarify that, because you, Mr. Meadows, you know, and of all the people on this committee, I've said it and got in trouble for it, that you're one of my best friends. I know that shocks a lot of people.
And likewise, Mr. Chairman.
But you are. And I would do, and I could see and feel your pain. I feel it. And so, and I don't think Ms. Tlaib intended to cause you that kind of pain and that kind of frustration. Did you have a statement, Ms. Tlaib? I'm going to yield to you. We can just straighten this up.
Mr. Chairman, and to my colleague, Mr. Meadows, that was not my intention, and I do apologize if that's what it sounded like, but I said someone in general. And as everybody knows in this chamber, I'm pretty direct, so if I wanted to say that, I would have, but that's not what I said. And thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to clarify. But again, I said someone. And again, I was not referring to you at all as a racist.
Well, I thank the gentlewoman for her comments. I thank the chairman for working to clarify this, and I appreciate the chairman's intervening.
Now, this man used this woman as a prop. So if a black person works for you, that means you cannot be a racist at all. Well, with that particular logic, then we will say all the slave masters wasn't racist because, hey, they had nothing but African slaves, right? I mean, they couldn't be racist at all. They also couldn't be racist because they were raping black women, black children, and black men. So surely they couldn't be racist because they was violating and having sex with black people. I guess they couldn't be racist at all. I mean, surely they couldn't be racist because, hey, if they're entertained by black people, I mean, they're not racist really, right? They're entertained by black people. Or maybe if they like R&B music, rap music, or anything that black people have created, if they like it, then maybe they're not racist either. Or maybe they try to participate in black culture themselves and try to dress like black people and talk like black people and sing like black people and rap like black people. You know, anything that black people do, then I guess that's another factor we could bring up too to say they're not racist. Really? See, look, this guy played the classic telling on yourself that we always see. And they all do that. See, now this woman didn't say he was a racist, she said what you did was racist, but his guilty conscience came out because you obviously a racist. Actually, is what it is. And you notice I've been paying attention to that. You know, you can call, some, not all, white folks any name in the book, but don't call them racist. That's the one word they don't like. They don't like, that's like the B word for them, right? They don't say race. I'm not a racist. I mean, they can be doing some blatantly racist things, but I'm not a racist. Why do you call me that? Like, what is the problem being called a racist? I mean, if that's what you're doing, then you're being racist. And using a black woman as a prop, that's racist. Sorry, it is. That's why you were called out. And you mentioned about your family members. Okay, that don't mean anything. You didn't have the kids. So what are you talking about? That's your family. And why would you treat kids any different, right? So you don't get a pat on the back because you have some nieces and nephews that's black. Why you get a pat on the back for that? I mean, that sounds like you're racist. They're like, hey, I got black family members. I'm not racist. I'm like, Lord. I said, let me recap. Just because somebody works for you that's black doesn't mean anything, because actually you have a thing called affirmative action. So you may have to comply with that somewhere down the line. So that doesn't prove that you like black folks, okay? You can sleep with black people. Doesn't matter. You can get right out of that bed and practice white supremacy. Even if you have a black child, you can still get out of that bed and practice white supremacy. I had a child that was on this show, teenage girl, or college girl actually, 19 years old. I don't know if you guys remember her. Her name was Kiara Lawhorn, and her mom was calling her the N-word. Black father, white mother. So you can still be a racist and have a black child, okay? If you like black people entertainment, black people music, black people culture, you still can be a racist. Yes, you can. That doesn't prove anything. See, I love the age that we're living in, the age of knowledge, because these little deception tactics don't work anymore. But this guy was called out. It's just that simple. Black people, don't you let nobody use you as no prop. You don't do that. Have some self-respect. This woman obviously didn't have no self-respect for herself. And then you heard that guy say, well, obviously, if she's working for Trump, then he can't be a racist. But then you heard when Michael Cohen had described about him being a Jew, you saw how quick he got quiet. He didn't want to retort that because he's scared to make any comments that direction. He know better. But when he asked how many black executives does Trump organization have, couldn't answer that because he said 0. And that's what matters at the end of the day. See, they hired black folks to be worker ants, but let's find out whose pictures is in that CEO or who's on the board, or let's find that out. How many black people are up there? And are there real black people? Not that Candace Owens, Larry Elder black people, or Jesse Lee Peterson black people. I'm talking about real black people that will speak up for their community, that care. Those kind of black people. But Trump ain't gonna have that around him, because didn't Trump say that he didn't want black people counting his money? There you go. So I mean, this situation with this Michael Cohen, and I heard they calling him back to testify again. I think March the 6th, what I read. I really hope it's public, because if it's a public testimony, I gotta watch that, because this guy in Congress, they put on the show. I mean, this is some good TV. And there are many more scenes that I like to want to talk about with this situation in Congress. I'll probably talk about that probably tomorrow on something else that I saw that was just quite funny, just in itself, with this situation with Michael Cohen. But Donald Trump, like I said, he just got exposed. But like I said, at the end of the day, his base, they support him. They don't have a lick of morals. You ought to know that. I mean, I just call it what it is. Because you can support Donald Trump and you know all the things that he done and still go vote for him. What kind of morals do you have? I'm just saying. I mean, they had 16 other Republicans that was running at the time, so you can't say he was the only one that ran. You just chose to go with someone that's a piece of crap, just based off of what, is being said and being put out about him. Now, you have the other guy coming, I think the one of the guys know about how he move his money. He's supposed to be testifying. So everybody dropping the dime on Trump right now. Like I say, I think it's funny. I'm enjoying the show. Y'all enjoy your national and international embarrassment, because that's who y'all wanted.